Whoa, look at that ant carrying a leaf. Is it going to build something? That's such a cool observation. Ants are like nature's little engineers, and they're a perfect introduction to something much bigger, the incredible world of ecosystems. Have you ever wondered how ants, plants, animals, and even the soil under your feet all work together to keep nature running smoothly? Today we're diving into that bigger picture to uncover how everything from tiny insects to massive trees plays a role in keeping the world balanced. Get ready to see nature in a whole new way. What is an ecosystem? Let's start with the basics. An ecosystem is like a giant natural neighborhood where living and non-living things interact. Imagine it as the ultimate teamwork challenge. You've got players like plants, animals, and microorganisms all working together like a well-oiled machine. But even the best team needs a support crew: soil, sunlight, water, and air. These are the unsung heroes that keep everything running. Here's something fascinating. Ecosystems come in all shapes and sizes. A single droplet of water can host an entire microscopic world, while massive rainforests like the Amazon stretch across millions of acres teeming with life. Whether big or small, the real magic of an ecosystem lies in the connections. Every piece, no matter how tiny, has a role to play. Here's a mind-blowing fact. The Amazon rainforest, often called the lungs of the earth, produces about 20% of the world's oxygen. And did you know that coral reefs like the Great Barrier Reef can support up to 9 million species? That's like an underwater metropolis of life, all intricately connected. But ecosystems aren't just about big numbers. They're dynamic, always changing and adapting. Imagine a fallen tree in a forest. To us, it's just a piece of wood. But to fungi, insects, and even small mammals, it's a new home. It's nature's recycling program in action. And here's a cool twist. Even your backyard is its own little ecosystem. Think about the birds, bees, and plants you see outside. They're all part of a miniature world working together in ways you might not notice. Interactive question. Imagine you're visiting a small pond. What living and non-living things might make up the ecosystem there? Frogs, algae, sunlight, rocks? Write them down and compare your list with a friend's. You might be surprised at how interconnected it all is. Now here's something to think about. What happens if one key piece of that pond's ecosystem disappears, like all the frogs? Hold on to that thought as we dive deeper into the building blocks of ecosystems. Populations and communities. Let's zoom in for a closer look. Ecosystems are the big picture, but they're made up of smaller, equally fascinating pieces. Populations and communities. But what do these terms mean? Populations are groups of the same species living in a specific area. Think of it this way. If you see a family of ducks paddling across a pond, that's a population. Or imagine a herd of elephants grazing under the African sun, or a school of shimmering fish darting through a coral reef. These are all examples of populations, individuals of the same species living and thriving together in a shared space. But populations are just one part of the story. When you add other species into the mix, like frogs hopping along the pond's edge, dragonflies buzzing overhead, water lilies floating serenely, and even those ever-present mosquitoes, you've got something even more complex: a community. A community is all the different populations living and interacting in the same space. It's like a vibrant neighborhood where every species has a role. Some are the chefs providing energy through the photosynthesis. Others are the cleanup crew, decomposing and recycling nutrients. And some are the diners, consuming what's available to keep the system running. Here's a fun analogy. If a population is like a single sports team, then a community is the entire league. Every team and every player has a role to play. If one team doesn't show up, or if a species disappears, the whole league or ecosystem can start to crumble. It's all about teamwork and balance. A closer look at populations. Let's take a moment to focus on populations again. They're everywhere and they're fascinating to observe. For example, have you ever noticed how birds often flock together in the sky? That's a population in motion. Each individual bird is part of the same species, flying together for protection and efficiency. Or think about an ant colony under your feet, millions of ants all working together, forming one population with a shared goal. Populations can vary in size depending on the ecosystem. A tiny puddle may host a microscopic population of algae and bacteria, while an expansive savanna might be home to hundreds of zebras or wildebeest. Each population adapts to the unique challenges of its environment. In a dense forest, some animals might form smaller populations to avoid competition, while in open environments like the ocean, schools of fish can grow to massive sizes to increase their chances of survival. But populations don't stay the same forever. They grow, shrink, and shift depending on resources, predators, and environmental changes. For example, during spring, rabbit populations might explode as food and shelter become abundant. But come winter, their numbers may drop as resources become scarce. These natural cycles are a key part of how ecosystems maintain balance. Communities, where it all comes together. Now, let's talk about communities, where things get really exciting. A community is like nature's version of a bustling city filled with different populations interacting with one another. Every species has a unique role in the ecosystem, and their interactions are what keep the system running smoothly. Take a pond community as an example. It's not just home to fish and frogs, it's a vibrant hub of life. You've got water lilies floating on the surface, shading the water below and providing shelter for tiny creatures. Dragonflies dart around hunting for insects, while tadpoles munch on algae. And at the very bottom, decomposers like bacteria and fungi are breaking down dead plant material to recycle nutrients back into the system. It's a perfect balance of give and take. Let's jump to another fascinating community, the coral reef. Coral reefs are like the megacities of the ocean, bustling with life. Brightly colored fish dart in and out of coral structures, sea turtles glide gracefully, and shrimp clean the skin of larger fish. Every interaction from the tiniest plankton to the largest predator plays a role in keeping the reef alive and thriving. But here's the catch. Coral reefs are incredibly delicate. If one key species is removed or a sudden change occurs, the entire community can suffer. On the flip side, some communities, like those in high mountain tundras, might seem quieter and less crowded. But even these sparse ecosystems are buzzing with life, just in subtler ways. Hardy plants survive extreme cold, tiny mammals burrow beneath the snow, and birds swoop in during summer months to nest. It's a reminder that whether bustling or serene, every community has its unique rhythm and connections. Why it all matters: populations, communities, and balance. So why are populations and communities so important? Because they're the building blocks of ecosystems. When populations are healthy and communities are thriving, ecosystems are balanced. But when something disrupts this balance, like pollution, habitat loss, or the introduction of invasive species, the effects can ripple through the entire system. Here's an example of how delicate this balance can be. In Yellowstone National Park, wolves were reintroduced after being absent for decades. Without them, deer populations had grown too large, leading to overgrazing and a decline in plant life. But when the wolves returned, they controlled the deer population, allowing plants to recover. This simple change had far-reaching effects, even helping other species like beavers and birds. It's a perfect example of how populations and communities are interconnected and essential for maintaining balance. Engagement moment. Let's play a quick game. Think about a tree in your local park. What populations might live there? Birds, squirrels, ants, maybe even fungi on the bark. Now imagine how these populations interact. The birds might eat insects, the squirrels might store seeds, and the ants might recycle organic material. Together they form a community, just like the examples we've explored. Now here's a challenge. Imagine what might happen if one of these populations, like the birds, suddenly disappeared. How would that impact the other species in the community? Share your thoughts with a friend or a family member. You'll be amazed at how much every species depends on one another. The delicate balance of ecosystems. Balance is everything in an ecosystem. Picture a seesaw on a playground. If both sides are equal, it stays level. But if one side gets heavier, like too many squirrels or not enough trees, the balance tips and the whole system changes. Take predators and prey. In a forest, wolves keep the deer population in check. But if the wolves disappear, the deer might overgraze, leaving fewer plants and disrupting the entire ecosystem. This domino effect is called the trophic cascade, and it's a powerful example of how connected everything is. Here's another story. In deserts, certain cacti provide water and food for animals like birds and small mammals. If those cacti disappear, many species would struggle to survive. It's a reminder that even small changes can have massive ripple effects. Interactive question. Think about your neighborhood. What would happen if one key species disappeared, like bees? Hint: bees pollinate plants, including fruits and vegetables. Without them, our food supply could be in trouble. Can you think of other species that play a critical role? Sometimes ecosystems can adapt to changes, but other times the effects are devastating. That's why protecting biodiversity, the variety of life, is so important. It's not just about saving cute animals, it's about keeping our planet healthy for everyone. Real-world ecosystem examples. Now let's explore some amazing ecosystems around the world. The savanna. Picture rolling grasslands dotted with the acacia trees and herds of zebras and antelope. But it's not complete without predators like lions, which keep herbivore populations balanced. Even termites play a crucial role by aerating the soil and recycling nutrients. Coral reefs. These underwater metropolises are buzzing with life, from vibrant fish to sea turtles. Coral reefs don't just support marine species, they also protect coastlines from waves. Sadly, pollution and overfishing are putting them at risk. Wetlands. Often overlooked, wetlands act like nature's sponges. They absorb floodwaters, filter pollutants, and provide habitats for countless species. Fun fact: wetlands also store carbon, helping to combat climate change. Engagement moment. Here's a fun challenge. Pick your favorite animal and find out what ecosystem it lives in. Then think about one small thing you could do to help protect the ecosystem. For example, if you love turtles, reducing plastic use can help keep their ocean habitats clean. Why it matters. Ecosystems aren't just fascinating, they're essential for life. They give us clean air, fresh water, and food, but they need our help to stay balanced. Protecting ecosystems isn't just about saving wildlife, it's about ensuring our own future. So whether you're marveling at ants carrying leaves or watching birds build nests, remember this: you're witnessing nature's ultimate teamwork in action. And now that you know the secrets of ecosystems, you're part of the team too. Thanks for joining me on this adventure into ecosystems. If you enjoyed learning about how everything connects in nature, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's keep exploring the wonders of our world one question at a time. See you next time. Wow, I'm going to look for more ants now. They're awesome.